Hey friends, welcome back to a new video. So today we have a little bit of a different setup. We're currently in my bathroom, and by the title you already know what we're going to do. And if you hear any weird noise, it is my fan here in the bathroom. I don't have control over it, it's automatic, so I'm sorry if that is an annoying noise. So I've previously mentioned in a few videos that I actually cut my own hair for about 3 years now, and one of you actually suggested that I do a video on how I actually cut my hair, so this is my attempt at showing you guys. I do have to say though that I'm by far an expert. I am actually a beginner. Sometimes it turns out great, sometimes it doesn't turn out as I want to, but I thought that I would still show you guys my method. Maybe they're still helpful, and maybe hopefully it will turn out great today. And also I wanted to say that if you're someone that is very particular and a perfectionist when it comes to their hair, I suggest not cutting your hair by yourself. You have to consider that when you cut your hair it might not turn out as you want to, and personally for me that's totally fine. I am okay with it not looking as good as I want it to. I know it's a learning process, so I feel like that's something you should understand before jumping into cutting your own hair. I'm also still in the midst of the learning process. So I wanted to quickly show you guys a before of my hair. So I would say I have about a medium thickness of hair. It is not too thick, but I would say I have quite a lot of hair, which is why I'm also someone that likes to make sure to kind of have a little bit of layers in it so it doesn't seem too thick at the bottom. For my taste, it is actually pretty long. I'm thinking of cutting it to about here, especially now that it's summer. I feel like having very long hair that like I have right now is just too hot. I'll show you guys from the back. So before you start cutting your hair, if you want to kind of follow my method, I highly suggest clearing out everything on the floor of your bathroom. So bath mats and just anything and everything, so you have a clear floor that is easier to clean afterwards. And I also suggest wearing as little clothes as possible, since the hair will cling to all of your clothes and it will just get really itchy. So wear as little clothes as possible, and yeah, then we're ready to start. So I wanted to show you guys the tools that I use. I have a comb right here, then will also be using a brush just to brush out any knots. And then I have this simple hair cutting set that I bought on Amazon. In here we have 2 pairs of hair cutting scissors and 2 hair clips that are also really helpful. So I really recommend getting some type of simple set like this. This was pretty cheap. I will link it down below for you guys. So first thing that I do is I brush out my hair, make sure that there are no knots. Some people actually prefer cutting their hair wet or damp, but I actually like to cut my hair dry. This way I kind of know how it will fall, and I can better determine where to cut more and where to cut less. So I'm going to brush out all the knots, and then you want to part your hair where it naturally falls, or the way you usually style it. If you usually wear a middle part, then part it in the middle. I'm just going to part it the way my hair naturally falls, which is kind of slightly off-centered, and I'm going to continually part all the way down to the back of the head. So we're going to start off with one side first, and I'm going to separate these two once again just about behind the ear. Here I'm just going to separate the 2 hairs again, clip away the front. This is why I personally feel like clips are so helpful. And to comb it out again, I feel like a key is to constantly comb out your hair so you see how it falls without any knots. So I think I'm going to cut my hair to about here. So I'm just going to take the simple straight hair cutting tools, and I'm just going to gauge with my fingers where I want it to kind of end, and then start cutting. If you're doing this for the first time, I suggest cutting less, and then you can always cut more. Okay, as you'll see, that is a pretty blunt cut. but that's okay. We can always go in and point cut. This is just to kind of shear it out and have it not be so blunt and thick at the bottom. As you can see, it's very kind of imperfect. Some hairs are a little shorter like here, but that is okay. Okay, so now that I'm happy with the length, I'm going to bring the front pieces forward. The front pieces aren't that, there's only this piece that is longer. That is because I have a lot of face framing pieces in the front. So I'm just going to match it up. Use a few of the hairs from the back as the guideline. And then once again, point cut. Okay, so we have the length done on this side. And now we're going to move on to the other side. I like to kind of tie the side away so that I don't get mixed up. And then it's pretty much the same process on the other side. So actually, I'm going to need this side to see what length I'm cutting at. So make sure to look straight ahead, because the minute you tilt your head, the length will be off and you want it to be the same length. So look straight ahead and then cut. Now you can see this side is a little longer, but that's okay. It's always better to be a little too long than a little too short. Constantly keep checking left and right, whether it is even or not, and just use your comb to go through. My hair is actually not super straight. There's a little bit of a wave in it, so if it helps, I feel like you could straighten your hair beforehand to better gauge the length and the evenness of the hair. You want to, once again, once you've cut everything, bring everything forward, and now you can see little places you've kind of missed out on. So for example, here the hair is longer, so you want to fix that. Feel like is it still a little longer? I think I'm going to cut some more. Okay, I feel like you could stop here. It's a pretty blunt cut, but it's a look. But I personally like to have a little bit more layers. As I said, I have a lot of hair and I feel like it's just too thick here in the bottom. So we're going to create layers next. So for that, I'm kind of running my thumb here over the top of my ears and just running it back to the back of my head. We want to section a kind of top and bottom part or layer. I'm just going to do one side first. So I'm actually going to tie away everything else so it doesn't get in the way. So I only have the top layer of hair from this side, and I'm going to go section by section from the front all the way to the back. So I'm just going to take a section of hair in the front. Actually, the front is lengthwise where I want it to be, so I'm going to skip the front. Or not lengthwise, layer-wise. I have a little bit of face framing pieces here from the last time I cut it, so I'm just going to leave that as is. Clip that away, and then start from about where the ear is. I'm going to take a piece of hair, comb through that. Now, depending on how much layers you want, you're going to bring your hair either all the way up, straight up. If you want a lot of layers, I don't want that many layers. So I'm going to bring the hair about probably 90 degrees or maybe a little more than 90 degrees and then cut it. And because your face or your head is round, when you cut it straight this way, when it falls down, it will create layers. Kind of whatever sticks out. Actually, I feel like you could go further than 90 degrees. I feel like it's too straight or the layers are too small. So I'm going to go a little further than 90 degrees. Maybe like like this, and then cut. Creates a little bit more of layer. These layers aren't going to be perfect, but I feel like it's good enough for cutting your hair at home. At least it's good enough for me. You can see it's not too much layers. There are a few pieces that are a little shorter, a few that are longer. But as I said, the more layers you want, the more straight up you'll have to go. So now all we have to do is the other side. So now that we're done with the layers, we can bring everything forward once again and just look at the bigger picture. Just look where there are a few things that need to be adjusted, like this piece right here. If it's too thick, you can go ahead and blunt cut a little again. And then usually I would go ahead and do the kind of front face framing pieces, but I'm already pretty satisfied with the way it is right now. I have a few kind of bangs-like looking things. But I can show you how I usually do that. So I comb my hair in front and then part a kind of triangle. The triangle can really be as big or small as you'd like. Then you just determine your overall length, and then I'm actually going to cut off a few of the long pieces right here. And then you're going to split this down the middle. Take one side, comb it all the way across, and then cut off a little bit, or as much as you like. This is kind of also for the layers, and then same for the other side. Of course, you have to match it up. I can tell that I did not match the length. We'll have created some kind of face framing pieces here. You can add more to the triangle if you want more face framing pieces. And then I put it back with the rest of the hair and then try to kind of create a diagonal shape in the front. This part I usually just freestyle. If I see a few pieces, I can just slightly cut into it. This is too long, I can cut it. It doesn't need to be too exact. But I think this is about it. Of course, your hair is going to fall differently right after you cut it compared to when you've maybe washed your hair. So this is not the definite end result. So I can show you guys the front. Will roughly be like this, and this is it from the back. So I've kind of went ahead and styled my hair a little bit with a straightener, just a little bit of some texture, and yeah, this is the finished result. I'm actually pretty happy with it this time. I was a little worried. Hopefully you guys found this informative, helpful. Yeah, maybe you can be brave enough to cut your own hair. It definitely is scary at first, but with the knowledge that the more you cut it, the better you'll get, I feel like you'll be able to manage it really well. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos of me on a bunch of different topics like minimalism, but also self-help and health, recipes, then be sure to check out my channel. I post twice weekly, and thank you so much for watching, for cutting my hair with me, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!